and you all can participate as you would like it. This just so we get a feeling of this. I'd invite everyone else except the visiting team to mute yourself so we don't get background noise. And my question is this, I just want to know a little bit about the whole concept of the Alameda Island poets, because it seems to be much more organized than First Tuesday poets are. We're just kind of, whoa, we're here. And you have some ongoing kinds of things that happen. So any of you who want to talk, give us an idea of what you're all about as a group.
Well, we in Alameda, thank you, Mary, Susan. We in Alameda got our start from Mary Rudge way back when, and Ken would have been way back there then. And we have just sort of grown our poetry group for a while. And who you're going to hear tonight are basically the board members or a couple past board members of Alameda Island Poets. And, you know, basically we give a reading. We have a reading where we have features, and then we have a workshop where we have guest leaders. And we just love poetry. So I'm not sure if anybody wants to chime in anything else.
I think that Kathy's done a really wonderful job of providing this forum for the community and engaging writers and emerging writers, established writers of diverse culturally and in age. And so I just think that's a really wonderful thing that she's been doing.
Yes. I would say that the second poet laureate of Benicia, Bob Shelby, came from Alameda, and he was active in Alameda Poets, which came before Alameda Island Poets. I think Mary started Alameda Island Poets because she wanted to have a club that could be part of the California Federation of Chaparral Poets. There were advantages to be under that state umbrella for insurance reasons and some other reasons. And so that we grew out of the Alameda Poets, which involved Bob Shelby and some other people you might know. Then they go back all the way back into the 1960s. In about the early 1960s, Phyllis Diller was one of the members and was featured in some of the anthologies. And so we have a long history. Mary really started the Alameda Island Poets back about year 2000.
And Claire, I believe, was a member way back then too.
Probably, I think Claire became a member probably about 2002, 2003. I was looking back at old membership records, and that's what I see. But always a participant in Alameda's activities and a great supporter of Mary and us all.
Right.
And Atika was a member way back when too.
Yep, she was.
So there's some history here.
A lot of history, yeah.
Oh.
Really,
Okay.
I think that's why I joined it.
Mhm.
When I first moved to Alameda, I didn't know anyone at all. And I knew I wanted to learn poetry. I wanted to write some more, and I wanted to be taken into this wonderful community of poets and artists and, oh my gosh, musicians and writers.
Mhm.
And when I found it, I just felt, I think I moved into Alameda in, gosh, maybe 2001, I think. I'm trying to think, yeah. 1991, yeah, maybe 2001. And it was so wonderful because I felt so lonely and lost, and I didn't know anyone here. I mean, I'd been teaching in this area for a long time, but then I had to go down to Monterey to teach in the school system down there for a year. And then that school system went bankrupt. So I had to come back up to Alameda. It's like, wow, I hope this is going to work. And it was just wonderful because her arms were so open and so welcoming. Along with Kathy, I met Kathy then too, and Natika and Ken. And I'm trying to think of everyone else. Many folks have passed now. But it was just great the way they were. We got to read our poetry for events that happened with music. We went up with Judy Chung up in Santa Rosa for all of her wonderful events that she put on with oh my gosh, poetry in different languages. And it was such a wonderful place to be. And when Mary, I remember that Mary wanted in the library somebody to take over for her. And Kathy jumped up and said, I'll do it. I didn't really want to do it. I didn't feel like I could do it. I said, I'll be vice president.
No, I didn't. Mary made me do it, Nanette. Mary made me
do it. Okay.
And she
So
was
I
wonderful
thank you
that
for this
way.
introduction because
I know, it was
fascinating
wonderful.
to see how different.
Nobody else
poetry
wanted to do it. And then we went through a lot of different people because Mary did everything so well. We thought, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to do what Mary did? But we did. We kept it
Well,
going.
I did it for about 5 years.
Yeah, Ken too.
Yeah,
Everybody.
after Mary, I was the president, and I did it for about 5 years. And we grew our little chapter from about 5 members to 35 during that period of time.
Yeah, I think I was here for that maybe.
Yeah,
And it was
you were there during
really
that time, yes.
And it was so
Well,
wonderful the way
let's
we
hear
all
some
worked
poetry
together.
now.
That's what I like to
And I really
write.
thank you for the background because this, again, really puts you in context. So Kathy, are you going to kind of MC and we'll listen to some poetry, and those of us who are listening are encouraged to use the chat screen to make comments or wave your hands wildly or whatever you are moved to do.
Mary's in the painting in the back of me. That's her at City Hall in San Francisco.
Ah,
Got poet laureateship there for an event. It was a United Poets Laureate International. And Mary was so sure that everyone should love poetry and be part of poetry and assume the role and the nature of the poetic life that you couldn't not join. And so Ken was pressed into service and did a tremendous job of enlarging the whole concept of Alameda Island Poets. And Kathy worked, every one of the ones that you're seeing had some relationship to Mary because you couldn't not. She was pretty dynamic. And she would find a job for you in poetry, even if she had to manufacture it.
okay. Well,
So the way that we're going to do this, Kimmy and I will take turns introducing people. Kimmy Sugioka is the poet laureate of Alameda, the current poet laureate. And I just want to read off the names. Thank you, Marilyn. I just want to read off the names in order so that Alameda Island Poets, you have some idea of where you are on this list. So I'll be introducing Kimmy first, and then there's Natika, Ken, Ellie, Marilyn, me, May, and Nanette, and Phoenix. So we have brief little intros, and I'm going to even make them briefer, Kimmy. So I'm going to introduce Kimmy, educator and poet, has an MFA from Naropa University, published 2 books of poetry. The newest is While and Wing on Manic D Press. And her work is in many anthologies. Here is Kimmy Sugioka.
Gotta unmute. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for having us, Mary. So I have a few poems. I don't know, 2, 3, something. The first one is called Backyard Bystander. Summer harmonizes every shade of green. Armed with coffee pot, books, and pen, I settle myself in a clearing and begin to write, but startle and recoil at the sound of heavy breathing and expect to encounter a heavyset man with wild eyes. Instead, I see that I am completely surrounded by 2 stags staring and 2 does dozing. The napping doe prefers that I do not talk. She is hot and breathes fast. I tell her that this is her world. I am only an interloper, as she nods in the shade of a rhododendron bush. Later, a curious spotted fawn stops to stare into my eyes with the same curiosity as its human cousins, as if I might be a new friend. And with breeze-blown tips, the ponderosa pine and Douglas fir pen prayers to sky. The hawk carries to his God, that this may be so. Thanks. And then I wrote this one for my son who was having kind of a hard time. It's called Vortex. I haven't read it before, it's new. It is the center of the vortex that is hardest, the point where you feel that all is hopeless, holding your breath and wait to be smote by some greater force. But as you breathe, you count your blessings and remember that life is not an all or nothing proposition, but a series of stepping stones following an invisible thread of belonging, even if you don't know where that is, even if you seem to be wandering down the wrong path, even if you feel as though you have failed. Sometimes you step on a loose stone or a turtle's back and fall into cold water and fear the worst. But no, the water is shallow or deep, and you find your breath and footing once again. As if you were blind and searching with all your other senses, blazing a trail that you can only feel. But you realize that you are stronger than you believed yourself to be, and able to find ladders to climb out of seemingly bottomless wells. It may take you a lifetime to find the best path, but all of those stepping stones are inevitably leading you towards yourself. Thank you. And this one I wrote yesterday, called Hush and Spin. The sounds of sparrows beckons, wilting buds to bloom, arranged in moments of blissful remembrance. Hush and spin. The children dream of bullets and blood, smoking lives, dividing lines, crossed and lost. Hush and spin. Coffins filled with echoing silence and ever afters, wing beyond hope that spans generations, bleak with grief. Hush and spin. No cauldron of spells, but revenge or guilt, just lust for guns and strafing, just lost children killing children. Hush and spin. And the last one is called Aliens. When you think about how the earth would be so much better off without us, you start to consider the possibility that we are the aliens. Maybe that is why the billionaires are planning to return to their home planets as soon as they have taken all they can. Maybe that is why we cannot seem to recognize or understand the brilliance of plants and other species. But the indigenous people did not harm the earth. Maybe they are the only ones who should be here. But we were all indigenous once, even if we are not where we started out. Maybe that is why non-native plants and animals always end up destroying the ecosystems. Maybe we should figure out where we come from, which tribe we belong to, so we can assimilate the ways of ancestors who knew how to live in communion with each other and the earth. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Okay, I'm going to introduce the next person, the next poet, who is Natika Angley. Her new poetry and paintings book, Muse, is her companion book to the Muses Danced Poetry. She is co-founder and artistic director of the Dancing Poetry Festivals, now celebrating 28 years of productions. She is author of Prompts That Make Your Poetry Dance and 14 other books about the romance of poetry and dance. Natika.
Oh, thank you so much. It's so great to be here. We're so happy. We're getting excited about the 29th annual Dancing Poetry Festival. And one of our dancers, who's a superb dancer, is also an Ikebana artist. And this is her 7th or 8th year at the Bouquets to Art. And I don't know if you know that that's a DeYoung Museum event that florists are brought in from all over to interpret the paintings in floral designs. And so our dancing Ikebana artist has joyfully said she would dance this one for me. This is my poem. I actually wrote it for her, or with her in mind. So here it's to celebrate bouquets to art. Bouquets to poetry and peace. Flourishing traditions celebrate significance. Occasion speaks in the art of the hope of flowering peace. The loving language and idioms of the floral arrangement expresses the art that inspires more art, serenity, love, and hope. Distinctive designs and growing nature brighten and carry the voice of remembrance. Our one and only inhabitable planet is called to record the beauty of life. The blossom of soulful arrival, the dawn of the newborn day, the flourish of soaring creation vibrates our earth and sky. Nature is aware of each unfolding bud, stem, branch, and leaf. Observance is constant and calls for consolation, celebration, prayer, and peace. Each carefully chosen element brightens, illuminates, and takes its place in the wholeness of our grand bouquet. Thank you. And now this poem is called Wealth, and it's wealth. Affirmation intended, invention encouraged. We introduce ourselves to ourselves. That's my definition of poetry. And here's my last one. Poetic mystery. This is what the book it's from. Oh, that's Juanita Miller's Hard Harp. I inherited that. So I'm so proud of it. Anyway, here it goes. Poetic mystery. The spirit dreams the dance of the poem. Consciousness flows. Moving atoms take the space. Poetry dances. Mystery unfolds. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Bravo to all of you. Okay. Am I supposed to introduce the next person?
Nope. Yep.
Oh, good.
You did fine. You're
Oh,
good.
great. Thank you. Thank you. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Natika. Our next poet is Ken Peterson, and since the late 1990s, he drove Alameda's first poet laureate, Mary Rudge, to readings and events all over Northern California. And he was the former president of Alameda Island Poets. And he's got a book, a new book, Not Your Teacher's Haiku, which explains why nearly everything you know or have ever heard about haiku may be mistaken. Ken Peterson.
Thank you. This is a modern nursery rhyme. Paul Pot, he's our guy. Support him true, but don't ask why. Paul Pot, killing fields, sowing death, bloody yield. Paul Pot, not so pure. He'll keep Cambodia for us sure. Paul Pot, out in Asia, will outdo Hitler if we're patient. And that's in the spirit of the rather tragic nursery rhyme tradition about things that really happened. And this goes back several years, of course. Here's a limerick. Khartoum. There was a young man from Khartoum who carried strange stuff to his room. He sweat all the night in a terrible fright from fear that his room would go boom. The next is in the form of early Anglo-Saxon prosody. It goes buses to Bart. It's Bart to buses and buses to Bart. So I do travel and travel does she. We travel so far, we travel and see, we travel and on, right back to the start. The rails do whine, the buses chug start, chugging their message, come travel and see, chugging their message, it's practically free. So I do travel and travel does she, we travel and on, right back to the start. It's Bart to buses and buses to Bart. Here's a political one. Thank you. Here's a political one, goes back about 25 years. Campaign 96. As Campaign 96 searched over ground, they threw some names and mud around. They said just terrible, awful things, some quite true, which is really mean. But I'm here to say, as one who knows so, the correcter term is President Bozo. You may not remember Bob Dole referring to his opposition as Bozo. Facing our nation's fearsome foes, economic, health, and moral woes, we set our course and stay the same. We search, then know, and fix the blame on all those of incumbent name. Then we vote them in again. There aren't any. I had to ask. The pharmacist said, we don't have any. No one makes thank you for saving my life cards. Thank you. All done? All done.
Oh, it's my turn to introduce the next person. So sorry. Okay. Ellie Dodds is the high school poet laureate emeritus 2014 to 15 for Alameda Community Learning Center and the editor of the 2016 volume of ACLC's poetry anthology series called Wandering Minds, Dancing Words. She is currently on the Alameda Island Poets Board and is one of the members who posts about upcoming AIP readings on the official AIP Facebook page and Instagram. Welcome, Ellie. So glad you're here.
Hey, thanks for having me. All right. So this poem is a poem I wrote at our last workshop which is the second Thursday of every month. We have one this Thursday on the 9th. I'm helping lead it. It's cool. So this poem is called Frigid. Humming ice in a metal whirlpool, brand new and unscathed. When no longer empty, will it turn the mountain in my stomach back into a molehill? This next one's gonna need another sip or something. This next one's called Aquamarine. Lost at sea in a lake down the street, knee-deep lily pads and ripped sheets, heavy rain obscures view, drowns out the breakthroughs, makes and breaks the take-twos and petrichor values. How do you get a day to take shots at the seam, down shots in between? Because between you and me, I'm drowning. This next one is, oh, I forget what type of poem it is. It's the 7-line one where you write, I think it's a 7-ling. I called it Loss, I forget. Fallen flakes of a snowy morning lay in the rotten sludge at the deep end of the pool next door. Thoughts blasting off on sleepless spaceships as my attention span flatlines at the chalkboard nonsense in these terracotta walls. Both bring sighs for a summer breeze. My gosh, this is... Sorry, I noticed that the screen is very bright and it made the lighting look weird. Do I have time for a Tonka? Okay. This is just a fun little Tonka I wrote. Piercing with a twist of electric pixie dust, blooming through our veins, grim glares hidden in the shadows. This is my spotlight. Don't move. Thank you.
Do you want me to do the next one, Kimmy?
It's your turn, Kathy.
It's your turn, Kathy.
Well, it isn't because Elena's not here.
Oh, she's
But-
not here.
But Marilyn is, and I can do Marilyn.
No, no, I'll do it. It's fine.
Okay.
Marilyn Flower lives at the intersection of Humor Avenue and Satire Street. Much of her poetry, fiction, and creative nonfiction illustrates her mantra, laugh, the change you want to see.
Thank you. Thank you. How's my volume? Can everybody hear me?
It's great. It's perfect.
Okay. I've got 2 queued up, and if there's time, I'll do a 3rd. All right. Why I eat chocolate? Because it's there. And so in case I die right now, it's the last taste on my tongue. Because hugging involves another consenting adult. Because sex is frowned on in the workplace and also requires another consenting adult. Because it's a stand-in for sex and for love. Because it's there. And because I'm in a hurry. Because I'm in a fog. Because I'm not okay just as I am. Because it's there. Because I'm scared. Because I'm scared, but don't know why I'm scared. Because this place is about to change radically and chocolate is the only, as far as I can tell, constant. Because it's there. And because she said, because he said, because I said, because it doesn't talk back. Because it gives me a 90-second rush of energy, which is just enough to get me down the hall and back to my desk. Because it's there. And because I don't have enough to do. Because I don't know what else to do. Because my self-talk has gone south. Because I have a potty mouth. Because it's there. And because there's a demon in me who wants the exact opposite of what I want for me. And for the time being, she appears to be winning. Because it's free. Because it's free and I'm a cheapskate, but most of all, because it's there, because it's there, because it's there, but especially when it's right here and I'm not. traveling light. Life calls. I'm too weighted down to answer, I tell myself. Life calls again. Perhaps I can shed a few layers. Life calls again, sweeter. So I take off the need to be right, the fear of change, not being good enough, scarcity thinking, and comparing my insides to their outsides. Wow, now I can actually move around. I step naked into my own light. Life calls again. I wrap myself in a cloak of stars, grab a comet by the tail, and tell the universe, I'm ready. Thank you, thank you. Do I have time for one more? Okay. Into every life there comes a time when the heart wells up with a vision, a calling, a picture of possible that won't leave it alone. It nags and gnaws day and night like a dog with a much-loved bone. So the heart dons its rucksack and heads out the door on a journey made of love. And when we don't gear up and follow, our life shrinks in proportion to the distance our heart travels alone. Then our heart-shaped hollow easily fills with toxic substitutions, such that saying no turns lethal and eventually kills. But when we say yes, oh, when we say yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and grab our gear and run to catch up, then the angels cheer. The path is breezy, every night full-mooned and blessed, every day warmed by the sun of success. And even the steepest climb is easy. Thank you.
Kathy, is it your turn? Oh no, it's my turn again to introduce Kathy Dana, MS, Alameda Poet Laureate Emeritus, is a firewalking hypnotherapist with a black belt in Aikido. She won first prize in the Benicia Love Poetry Contest and grand prize in the Dancing Poetry Contest. Her award-winning book is My Dad Believed in Love. Yay, Kathy. Go, Kathy.
All right, thank you, Kimmy. This is a poem that I wrote just before Putin started attacking Ukraine. And it was very eerie to me that it went like that. So this is called When Dreams Call Out. Why did I have those dreams? I was just a kid. Was it because newspapers and the TV news kept talking about the Cold War? Was it because the Bay of Pigs incident and the Cuban Missile Crisis had people on edge? Was it because there was a mad dash to install bomb shelters and my neighbors were rushing to install them? Was it because my father had a stiff right leg with a scar running down the center, remnant of battlefield injury in World War II? Is that why I had those dreams? Dreams of bombs being dropped on my school playground, dreams of soldiers with rifles and grenades, dreams of explosions that tore people apart. Was it because we had to practice duck and cover at school and the sound of the alarm was so alarming? It sent electric pulses rippling through my skin, tightening my chest and making me hold my breath, so that my stomach had a strange, sickening feeling of dread. Is that why I turned off my radio whenever the news came on? Because I couldn't bear the thought of hearing World War III had started? Is that why I cringed when an airplane flew overhead, wondering if this was the one that would drop an atom bomb on us? Is that why I kept a cup of dried noodles on my dresser in case the world collapsed and we had nowhere to buy food? Although it is more than 50 years later, the threat of world war and nuclear annihilation is not over. The climate crisis is crashing around us, and we are still reeling from COVID. I can only imagine what kids are dreaming now. All the more reason to recognize we are called upon, all of us, to be a healing presence, a field of open-hearted listening, a refuge of tenderness. All the more reason to realize for ourselves, for each other, that it takes courage and willingness to keep taking each step forward, because we forget each step is into the unknown. All the more reason to become a sanctuary of encouragement to all, a soft nest for our children, a nest which echoes, take heart, take courage. We are with you. We are with you. We are with you. Thank you. So I am going to introduce now May Spiegel. And one of the things that Mary Rudge passed on to us island poets is this passionate and fierce desire to support young poets, to help them bloom. So May Spiegel is a current high school poet laureate of Alameda Community Learning Center. She has been published in the Alameda Sun newspaper, as well as Wandering Minds Dancing Words anthology, for which she is the co-editor. And she has just graduated. Yay! Here's May.
Hello. I'm wearing a mask because I have COVID and I'm trying to keep this room uncontaminated for my family members. Okay, let's see if I can bring up these poems. This first poem is called Immortality. I said, would you like to see a piece of my soul? Read it here, read it twice, maybe more. Place it in your chest cavity, store it there. Let it be a part of you. And I will take a piece of you if you'd like, and hold it always too. This next poem, I wrote for my graduation, which unfortunately I could not attend because I have COVID. And that was last week. Luckily my friend James read it for me. He is not here tonight. But this is my first time reading it for people. Here we sit and stand and float to remember past and future. Remember our teacher, who like a god brought us light. Remember the butterfly crushed by rain, taken into the classroom, nurtured by its students, set free into the world, where it will soar and fall and someday soar again. Remember us, the people we were back then, the people we have become, the people we left behind.
Uh-oh, May, we lost you. We lost your voice. Partway through. May.
She might not be able to hear you.
I think she can't hear us.
Yeah, because if her mic is...
This always happens.
Ah, there you go. There you are. There you are.
All right. Should I start from the top?
You better.
Okay. What was the last part that people heard?
Start the poem again.
All
please.
right. Here we sit and stand and float to remember past and future. Remember our teacher who like a god brought us light. Remember the butterfly crushed by rain, taken into the classroom, nurtured by its students, set free into the world, where it will soar and fall and someday soar again. Remember us, the people we were back then, the people we have become, the people we have left behind. Changes are no more moral than a needle above flesh. They hurt always, but sometimes they are the cure, and sometimes the poison. Remember this moment when you
We lost your voice again.
She's frozen too.
Yeah. Oh, she's unfrozen, but we still don't hear it. We're missing that last part. The needle part. Back to the needle.
Oh God, I'm just gonna turn off my camera because I think that's the problem.
Yep, do it. Go back to the needle.
Changes are no more moral than a needle above flesh. They hurt always, but sometimes they are the cure, and sometimes the poison. Remember this moment when you felt everything, or maybe nothing at all. Bask in the nothing everythingness of this moment. Let it sing in your ears, let it run down your cheeks, let it hurt, let it comfort. Remember how it flies up and away, a monarch butterfly, a ghost, a memory. That's my last poem, but I do want to provide a little bit of context. That butterfly was a metaphor, but it's also very literal. There was a dead-ish butterfly crushed by rain, and my teacher, instead of saying, "Get that disgusting butterfly out of my classroom," let me put it there and let it dry on the heater. And it ended up living and it flew away. Yeah. Anyways. Thank you.
Is it time for me to introduce Nanette? I'm a little confused, okay. All right, Nanette Dietz is a poet who has published in numerous anthologies, the most recent entitled Red Indian Rose West, Native American Poetry from California, edited by Kurt Schweigman and Lucille Lang Day, with an introduction by the late James Luna. It's a great anthology, by the way. I highly recommend it. In September 2019, she received a Lifetime Achievement Award for her poetry and activism by the City of Berkeley, California, and the Berkeley Poetry Festival. Go, Nanette.
Oh, thank you, Kimmy. That was a beautiful introduction. And I just want to say that your poetry, May, was beautiful, really, really nice. That was beautiful to listen to.
Thanks.
And my heart feel good. And please excuse me, I'm looking at my phone because one of my little nieces just had her, I think, I'm hoping, her first baby in Florida, but they got caught in that horrible hurricane. So I'm a little bit worried, but she's okay. She's all right. So I'm going to start with a poem that I write. And I think at this time, this is a very good poem for me to read. Sacred Mother, Maka'ina, grandmother, breath of all life and source of light. You are the center that holds the circle, transformer of material, flow of life. Song of my relatives, path of our ancestors, seen and felt everywhere. Guide us toward wisdom, knowledge, compassion, to the beauty in all life. I think then I'll start with Winter Dream. I feel that this is perfect also for this time. All the earth lies down, covered, caressed by moonlight. We sleep this deep winter dream. We lie suspended at the precise point where we spin on between light and life, and death or darkness. We dream toward the we, the sun, the soul of our life. This next poem is called Night Song. Please do not forget us. Her voice floated down to me one night in a dream. Her voice had to travel past empty, boarded up buildings, over the buckled, broken freeways, across the dark, dirty waters of the bay, and through angry gangs roaming the city before it found me alone in my room. There is still so much to tell you, so much you should know, she said, as I followed, as I followed, as I followed. We gathered together in a hut. The men and women were dark and soft, emitting a light from their eyes I had never seen. They put their hands up to a bundle and told me to do the same. As I did, heat flowed from my hands through my heart, pulling me down into the earth. As I sat with the women, she said, please do not forget us. There is still so much more to tell, but so little time. I will never forget you, I said. Now I remember, 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 remember. This next poem I wrote for my mother's father, my grandfather, who was a code talker during World War II. And I many times read it in English and a little bit in Lakota, but I don't think I'll do that tonight. I'll just read the title. In memory of Kenneth James Bradley, or Iron Eagle, who took his spirit walk March 24, 1976. Wo Okiksuye, Iron Eagle, Kenneth James Bradley. Wanagi Omani Kage, March 24, 1976. I live on an island now. I live on an island now, surrounded by sounds of water. I live on an island now, surrounded by sounds of water. Songbirds, red-tailed hawk, heron, egret, blue jay, and crow. Here is where I deny urban reality, this new world. My relatives taught me early the trick to Indian survival, how to make the square a circle, how to make concrete, cars, and pain disappear. They taught us how to look at our land and see it as it was 530 years ago. Iron Eagle, Ken, taught us to remember the season when choke cherries ripen, to remember the stars and the star people, to remember the gift of knowledge passed through a good story, a good memory, to remember to sing and dance, sing and dance, sing and dance. Mixed race woman, mixed race man, caught in a gauze between two worlds, our mind and senses, the only means of escape. But scar tissue lays thick and deep. Too many broken promises, broken treaties, broken hearts, loved ones taken away or leaving us behind, has made our eyes weak, but our hearts sharp and clear. Our hearts sharp and clear. Deer, wolf, moto, bear, tatanka, buffalo. And I want to say the reason I want to say his name also is because his father was one of the boarding school children. And we were very blessed in my family that he came back. Thank you. Pedami aye, heche tu ado, mitako yasen. Many blessings to a full circle of relatives.
Thank you, Nanette.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one last poet. Phoenix McCain Novakowski was our Alameda Community Learning Center Poet Laureate in 2020-21, editor, co-editor of the book, and did the cover art for our book, and was on our Alameda Island Poets Board. And Phoenix has extensive history in the martial arts from different cultures and is now studying linguistics at UC Berkeley. Phoenix.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for welcoming me here. I have two poems that I'm going to be reading tonight, and I understand that I look like I'm in a dark cave, so I apologize for that. I don't know why the light in my room is so bad. I hope that my mic keeps working because my camera sometimes does the same thing that May's camera does to our audio, which is really annoying. I froze, didn't I?
Well, we're just seeing your name there, so.
Okay. I just wanted to check because I was talking and my voice box wasn't lighting up, so I got a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Okay.
We hear you now.
Take number 2. The first poem I'm going to be reading is it's called See No Evil, and it actually came from a prompt that was given during one of the poetry meetups that happens at ACLC on Wednesdays. The prompt was, I tried to split the fog last night, and I think it was given by May. So here it is. I tried to split the fog last night. I don't think I was successful. It was too strong to push through, too thick to force away. I didn't know where it came from. I didn't know why it was so strong. I didn't even know where I was. All I knew was fog and brown. Maybe it was beige. Maybe it was gray. It was brown. It was beige. It was gray. It was everything in between. Above all, it was solid. I tried to push against it. It wouldn't budge. It was like a wall, maybe a cell. It could have been a normal room. I had no comparison. At least it wasn't just more fog. That meant I was indoors. I was in some place, somewhere with walls. That's all. So
He froze.
Come back, Phoenix.
I cut out, didn't I?
Yep.
Okay, where did I cut out?
I think it was almost the end there.
Do you remember the line I was saying? Oh, gotcha. Thank you. Okay.
I was somewhere with walls.
Yep. I carry a curse. I carry a curse that dooms everyone's audio. Okay, yeah, there we go. Thank you. I was somewhere with walls. That's all. So why was there so much fog?
Lost you again. It's the fog. It's the damn fog. Oh, Phoenix.
That's it. Take number 3 now. Did I freeze in the exact same place?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna go from there. That's all. That was what. So why was there so much fog? It was my mind. Shouldn't I have been able to see? Unless this was something, someplace I wasn't meant to see. There we go. Got through one poem. I'm gonna hope that it doesn't go that badly in my second one. Okay. This one's called Aqua. I actually wrote it as I was listening to people because there were so many beautiful descriptions that kind of got my creative juices flowing. So, okay. I joked about living in the water when I was a child. What could I say? I liked the cool sensations that washed against my skin, even when the water would eventually warm up after dunking myself below the surface. I liked the smooth texture and the lack of restrictions that allowed me to glide through the shadows and the sun streams. I liked the life that the waves took for themselves, coexisting with the fish and the sharks and the dolphins and the whales and the jellyfish. I like water. I liked being in water. But I was wrong. I could not have lived in the water. I've never gone too far. I've never traveled to where light can't reach me. I've never faced the unknown. Not like the historical creatures that have claimed the darkest depths of their own, as their own. Not like the faces and the fins that have scared all surface dwellers away from venturing where they're not welcome. Not like the nameless beauties who are destined to remain undiscovered. Okay, thank you very much for listening to me. I hope that you all have a nice day. I don't know how to end this, I'm sorry. I'll try to be polite.
Thank you, Phoenix. And that concludes the Alameda Island Poets.
Okay, so let's all unmute and do noisy things to express our appreciation.
Thank you.
All
Thank
of the
you.
poetry we've heard from the Alameda Island Poets. You have brought word of your journeys and your ancestors and your visions, and you've spoken out of duress with the technological world and under undercover of COVID. So wow, what a spread, what a breadth, what a depth. And bless you all. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And I will move us on now to the